All right. Human behavior.
That's what we're talking about.
Weird humans. Amazing humans. Finicky humans.
You know, people being people.
Yeah, man.
People.
You got any stories? People been people in this week?
People been people in.
Talk to me.
I go to take a lift to the crib yesterday. And the traffic is unusual, right? Like I don't know. Y'all traffic down here is just different. Y'all got 6 lanes. I don't know why there's traffic and y'all got 6 lanes. It's nasty work.
Right.
So, and I'm in the driver's very polite, very cool. As soon as I get in, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm thinking he's an S. And then I realize how particular he is. And I'm like, oh, he's probably a C. Hold on. When you interact with people, is that where your mind goes? Yeah, because I'm a high D and I know that I can have a tendency to take up too much space and, like steamroll people even. Yep. I immediately go to figure out who that person is or what they likely are and give them what they need so that I don't come across so strong in that way.
Gotcha. You
know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, he's probably a C. So we're going to get off the exit. I think the exit is like Birmingham or something. So you can turn in and go off. And unlike New York, y'all let trucks just go in whatever lane. But, in New York, certain highways you can't.
So the truck has to stay in a specific lane.
Trucks can't even go on certain highways.
Oh, wow.
So here, y'all got traffic with the trucks.
Yeah.
So the traffic to get off is literally 2 or 3 miles back from the exit. Mm. In my mind, I'm like, okay. I didn't say nothing at first. I'm like, let me let him drive.
Yeah.
He pulls into the lane, the 3 miles back. And I was like, okay, let me let it rock. Mm. And I realized it was like, you could watch the time on the ride. It said like 30 minutes for like a whole 10 minutes. And I was like, yeah, this is getting interesting. And I felt myself starting to revving up a little bit. Because I'm watching all the other cars pass. And I'm in my mind, I would have got in the next lane, drove all the way up right before the exit and then cut in.
Right. Of course.
He stood in the lane and honored everybody that was in front of him. And I'm like, bro, I need to get home. I'm tired and I'm hungry. The ride was supposed to take 40 minutes. Mm. It took 1 hour and 44 minutes for me to get back because he was following the rules of the road during traffic. And me, it was just a glaring example of the differences in people because I'm like, for me, it was so obvious. Yeah. There's no way I'm sitting in this. I'm going to drive right up past all of these cars and cut my way in right as the exit tapers off.
Like a normal human.
I mean, it's my normal.
It's your normal, for sure. And here's the thing. I'm a high C, but I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not gonna just sit there. Like, I'm always looking for another way, but there could be a blend in values where he has no D, no economic. He's not like trying to hit a goal. He's just aesthetic super high. He probably ain't trying to weave in and out of traffic.
And here's the crazy part. I could tell him getting increasingly nervous as the time went on. It was standstill traffic. Mm. Like, we didn't move for 20 minutes at one point. Yeah. And I'm like, when are you going to do something? And I'm on the phone and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I've never been in traffic like this in my life. And I said it so he could hear it.
And what did he say?
He got more nervous. And he's swiping on the phone. I'm like, bro, swiping on the phone is not going to do nothing. Put that blinker on, switch lanes, and let's go. I'm watching all the other cars pass us and do it. And I'm like,
did you say that?
No.
That's weird. That's weird. Why didn't you say anything?
Because first of all, I realized how anxious he was. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I don't really have anything to do with the rest of my night. And if I had some place to go, I had something to do. The first 3 minutes I noticed we were stalling, I would have said something.
Right.
But I didn't really have anything, and I realized that me forcing the issue didn't have a gain of anything. Mm-hmm. There was nothing to accomplish by me forcing him to.
You know what? I think that's your high S.
No, it really wasn't.
It's patience.
No, I wasn't being patient at all.
But you were being patient because you didn't say anything. If you weren't being patient, then you'd have said, yo, bro, you know what you should do? I think it was either your high S kicking in or your low I, like, I don't want to engage. I'm going to sit here and be mad in my head.
I definitely didn't want to engage, but I think, so one thing about a D, like, the challenge is what sparks us to go. Mm-hmm. There was nothing for me to gain or nothing for me to do. So I was kind of like, yeah, the worst case scenario is I'm going to get home later than I usually do.
Yeah.
I'm going to put on Netflix and like, there's nothing for me to gain. If I had something to do, like I hung back and knocked some workout, afterwards. Yeah. So I kind of was clear. My conscience was clear. I was just like, all right, I'm going to go home and get something to eat and cool.
Gotcha.
Now, if he started to infringe on the time when stuff starts to close, food wise, then I would have probably been like,
"Gotcha,
you messing up my Uber Eats, you messing up my Uber Eats." But it was cool. I didn't really say anything, but he was nervous. And then when we got there, he made it his business to give me a 5-star and let me see that he gave me 5 stars, because I think he was anticipating me negatively rating him.
Gotcha.
But I realized it wasn't necessarily in his control, and he was doing, like, I realized he's a C. He's trying to follow the rules.
Let me ask you, was it him following the rules or him being a higher S, just being more passive at the situation? Because for me, I'm a C, right? Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the clock. I'm calculating, okay, what has to happen for me to get there on time. I am a stickler for time. Like, I need to make this deadline, and it gives me anxiety. Like, if I'm like 1 minute late, 2 minutes late, it really gives me anxiety. And I've had issues with my wife being a few minutes late. These few minutes late should not be that important that I create uncomfortable situations with my wife. It shouldn't, but it does. But I've seen some people that are more patient that are saying, well, it's not that I'm being calculated. I'm just being patient. I'm being passive. This thing is just, it's going to get nothing I could do.
But that can come off dismissive, and that can come off insensitive.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's where it's important to understand, because for you, the timepiece, where does that come from exactly? Do you remember like what created in your mind the need to be structured and on time like that?
I think it comes from my mom. She was always late, and I'm talking about like basketball games, practice, got me late for everything. And now that it's in my control, I'm not going to let that happen.
To be honest, I'm a stickler for time for the same reason. Mm-hmm. Like, people would joke like, you're gonna be late to your own funeral.
Yeah.
Like, I remember being I might have been maybe like 7th or 8th grade, parent teacher conference. My mom was working a bunch of jobs, couldn't make it. She was supposed to come in the morning. The teacher was accommodating to come in the morning to meet. And I remember her coming like, well, hold on. And I'm like, no, I have to go to class. And I could look right now and see my mother walking down the hall, and I just was like, it's cool, don't worry about it. I'll just get the report card. You can call her on the phone. Like, it's cool. My older sister told me later that hurt my mother. Like, like, I think my mother cried about it or something. Like, it was, for my mother to cry, it's a big deal. But I remember those times, and I didn't realize, you're a kid, you don't really understand all that a person is juggling. Yeah. Single mother with a bunch of kids. She was just late to things, and it would rub me. So for me, it was embarrassing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not. And me being a D, that's the worst thing in the world. Like, I don't want to feel embarrassed. Then somebody crack a joke, or then I'm fighting somebody because they said something. right? Like, so I'm a stickler for the same reason. So because I saw that, if I'm late, I'd rather not go. Crazy enough. Okay, so perfect example. My driver this morning, we get in the car. Soon as we hit like the interstate, we turn out of the neighborhood. He's like, "Hey, bro, I got a favor to ask you." And I'm like, "Okay." Weird. I'm like, "What's up?" He's like, "Hey, bro, man, I had took a short-term trip and I thought I could make it, and I just realized that yours is more long-term. I need to stop and get some gas."
Bro, I've been there.
And in my mind, I'm like, this is your job, your profession, whatever you're doing. You should have gotten gas before you like picked me up. Like, you should be prepared.
It's 9:30 in the morning. You ain't driving all day. What you doing?
You should have had the gas. We stop at the gas station. He's like, "Bro, you want something?" "I don't want nothing. I want you to hurry up and get back." I'm like, "No, I'm good."
What's this, your man's? Yo, you want something? You want
now
snack?
I have something to do. So I'm holding time. Like, it's time on task. He gets back in the car, and I realize it readjusts and it says 10:01. I say, "Yo, fam, check this out. I let you get the gas. I need you to make sure whatever you need to do, I got to be rolling at 10 o'clock. So we stopped and got your gas. Make sure I get where I need to go on time."
I thought it was odd too, because normally you're early. So when the clock strike 10, and I noticed it, when the clock strike 10, I was like, "Dewane, good?" In my mind, I'm like, "Oh, you have an argument with this girl or something? Did they?"
Nah, but
in my mind, all that stuff happened.
I pulled up 9:59. I went to open the door. I knocked on the door. It struck 10. I'm like, but let me hit you back. I need to call Dave. Bye. I'm like, "Bro," and you walk right to the glass, right? And it was 10:01. I'm like, I wanted to be in the room at 10 o'clock. Like, I'm like obsessive, monomaniacal about that type of stuff. But that's where it comes from. So if you don't know that about me, or somebody doesn't know that about you, and they're just like, "Well, what's the big deal?" No, it is a big deal to me. Yeah. It can come off dismissive. It can come off like, you don't hear me, you don't see me, you don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where conflict can come.
Yeah. I was thinking that that people that are always late when it has to do with me, they're not respecting my time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I realize that that's not accurate. It's not that they're not respecting my time. It's just that they're late people.
And it has nothing to do with you.
It has nothing to do with me.
When you get to the point where you realize that what a person says, what a person does, has absolutely nothing to do with you, and it has everything to do with them, it frees you from all sorts of energy, friction, stress, because you're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
I just want to know what happened or what makes you operate the way you operate. Because once I have understanding, it creates compassion, because we all have stuff with us.
Yeah.
Once I have that level of compassion, I'm like, "Oh, okay, okay, cool." Yeah. Now I know I'm gonna help you out and tell you to be here earlier. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, for sure. You got to run that trick. But I mean, the people that are always late, it stops working. So Donnie, I'm gonna tell her we need to be like, "Yo, we're gonna start at 10:30." When we really need to start at 11, but what she's gonna say is, "We start at 10:30, don't we?" I'll say, "Yo, we got to be here at 11." I'm like, "Yo, hello, you can have a seat." Hey. I'm sorry that box is in the way, but you can slide that. I'm sorry. Yo, Reese, I'm gonna tell a story. You can give the camera to me real quick, because I'm gonna tell a story anyway. But you can slide that over so she can sit there.
Or if you want to.
But
it's up to you.
But yeah, so I'm so we start at 11. I'm telling Donnie 10:30 because she's going to be late and nobody's going to outlate Donnie. But eventually she catches on where she comes at 10:45 and we don't start till 11. So anytime I say 10:30, she's going to be like, "Oh, we start at 11, don't we?" And then I'm not a liar, so I gotta say, yeah, you're right. But here was something that happened to me. I love Donnie. It's my sister, my co-host, my partner. And I realized that you gotta like love people for who they are. My wife the same way.
Yep. Everybody.
I had to calm down and just accept that this person is going to be late wherever they go until they decided not to be late. But then I asked myself, because I would get frustrated, like burned up. And this is where it happened one day. Donnie is like an hour late, bro. And in my mind, I know she's going to come in and make an excuse or a reason why she's late, which is going to make me even madder. But then I asked myself, what about this situation is making me mad? What inside of me is making me so frustrated with a person that I care about? Mm-hmm. Right? It happened a few months ago. My wife, I had to sit down and think to myself, what about me is making me so upset with the person that I love about them being them? It's not like they started out on time. I don't even think my wife started coming to dates on time. I don't think ever.
Yo, bro.
You know what I mean? This is who she is. And there's some things about me that I don't notice that I'm sure my wife would say, this frustrates me about him. But we got to look introspective to say, what about me? What inside of me is making me so mad with this person about who they are? And then Donnie had walked in that time, got up, gave her a hug, said, yo, what's up? All right, we ready? We ready to record? Everything good? And she's like, she know I'm normally going to have something to say, especially this late. But I wasn't. I was able to calm down. And I realized that time isn't as important to everyone as it is for me. And it may not even be as important as I'm making it out to be. Like the 10 o'clock, 10:01 thing, you're upset with that. Like I can't believe I'm a minute late. But most people are like, it's just a minute. Calm down.
Right. So I've had people say, yo, you do or die about everything. Like and I'm like, because my lived experience, I understand things can be gone in the blink of an eye. Mm. So I'm not dismissive of things like that, especially when it has to do with somebody else. Yeah. Right. So I'm factoring in everything. I'm realizing, okay, you have a day, you already expressed to me what you got going on. I got stuff to do. And I gave him some grace. Mm-hmm. Well, you're not going to be lax with me after I extended you grace. Mm-hmm. It's not happening. But for me, like to your point, I think that the struggle comes in. It's difficult for us to accept things about other people because we struggle to accept things about ourselves. Yeah. When you get to the point where you fully embrace who you are, the good, the bad, the beautiful, ugly, right? Mm-hmm. It makes it easier. Like, because once you accept yourself, it gives you the blueprint on how to accept somebody else. Yeah. And you go, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Like, I got it. So I'm at a place where like my biggest thing is respect. If you don't respect me, you in my mind, you don't love me. You don't if there's no respect, you can't possibly tell me that you care about nothing. It's foundational. I'm on that with everybody, my mother, whoever. There has to be respect. I give respect to even my children. I treat them with respect.
What does respect and disrespect look like to you?
So that's the point I'm making, right? I got to a point where I realized I'm checking everything because my version of respect is different than everybody else's.
100%.
So I had to, one, realize there's a difference in what I deem respect and what somebody else does. Yeah. It's subjective. I'm also in control of teaching somebody what that looks like for me, boundaries. Mm. And two, let me redefine what respect, like where did I get that definition of respect from? Yeah. I mean, and I unpack it for me, it came from the street. No, most people don't live that life. Yeah. So they don't operate by those rules. So I'm expecting somebody to operate by rules that they're not even familiar with. Yeah. And then I'm getting upset about it.
100%.
So then I have to start to renegotiate what that looks like. And then it's, well, do I respect myself? Yeah. Do the people that matter to me respect me? Yeah. So why do I care about respect from somebody that I don't respect or I don't even know? And I start to have those conversations with myself. And then I'm like, okay, bro, you taking things a little too, just let the human experience be what it is, and like find the little nuggets that you can like learn something from or have a conversation from, or it be a teachable moment.
Yeah. I think like you're to your point, you really got to understand that you are flawed in a certain way.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know
I know I got shit with me, man.
Yeah, oh, for sure. It's bad. But I was expecting people to operate the way I want them to operate, as if I'm operating the way the people around me want me to. You know what I mean? Like it's like I got stuff with me too. Like just as bad as I get frustrated with my wife or Donnie for being late. There's something that I'm doing that they deem as just as important, that they wish that I would fix about me, but they love me in spite of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it's interesting on this time thing. Yo, let me tell you about, okay, I got another human being experience.
Strange human stuff?
Yeah, strange human stuff, man. So a friend of mine, I had somebody do some work for me. And I don't want to say any names, so.
Please don't.
A friend of mine did some work for me. And the work was cool. I rock with the person. So someone really, really close to me, she said, hey, who did that work for you? I said, this guy. Let me refer. I was like, yo, this is the guy that did it. And she was like, yo, is he really good? I'm like, yeah, he's good. He did the work for me. She said, is he on point? She's like, I got a big job for him and I don't want to mess it up. I said, whoa, hold on. This is not a cosign. I'm just telling you that they did the work for me and it was good. I'm not co-signing the person because I don't know how people are going to operate. I'm not going to refer you to somebody like, yo, this is the best in the business if I only had one interaction with them. You know what I mean? So very few people I'm going to say, I co-sign this person.
I put my stamp on it.
Put my stamp on it. Like there's some people like, yo, you need some help with your company or something like that. Dewane, stamp. He never did nothing funny. I've known him for years. Like he's an expert, professional, stamped. I don't do that for everybody. So moral of the story, she has to get this big project done for her church. Long story short, they give him the money for the project. He has a conflict with a contractor that he's working with. Long story short, it's a big issue.
It's nasty. Sounds
so. Here's the thing. The guy that I referred is on with my friend. And my friend is like, yo, I need some answers. I need answers. And he doesn't have the answers right now because he's got to wait for his employee who ordered the stuff and customs, the stuff, all that kind of stuff. He doesn't have answers. So guess what he does?
Makes an excuse.
He stops picking up the phone. He stops the communication. Terrible. Now, go for it. What are you about to say?
Where I'm from, we call that whack juice. You can't spill whack juice on somebody's garments like that. That's just bad. That's nasty work.
Let me tell you how I got on the phone and I think they worked it out. I actually need to. If they didn't work it out, she would have called me. So I'm imagining they worked it out.
Might want to just circle back and make sure.
The reason I understand that is because when I get too many text messages and I don't have an answer for the person, in my mind, I'm like, all right, let me reply when I get an answer. But so much happens in my day, I forget to reply to the person. But even if I don't have an answer, I won't reply. I'm trying to get better at it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So I do a similar thing, but tell me where that comes from with you.
I don't know. It's just I get overwhelmed and it's like, if I don't have an answer for you, I just don't have an answer. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how to tell you I don't have an answer for you right now, but everything's going to be okay. Moral of the story. She gave him a bunch of money to order stuff. They ordered the stuff. It's stuck at customs. The person that's his employee has to get it out. But the employee the guy has to give the employee a bunch of money or he's not going to get it out of customs. Long story short, the guy, it's there. He took the money to get it, to get it there. The product is there, but he's trying to figure out how to circumnavigate this. My friend says, yo, he stole our money. He's running off with our money. I said, wow, he's stealing? I said, you think he just took your it was like $100,000 to order the product and then you pay him for his labor later. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, let me call him. I call, he picks up the phone. He explains the situation. He's like, nah, the product is there. It's just, I gotta go to customs, let him know it's my company that he ordered from. He's a subcontractor, all that kind of stuff. I just gotta work it out. It's there. I went there today to try to pick it up, but they wouldn't let me. They told me what I need to do. He's like, I'm gonna work it out, no problem. Like, I'm not gonna just run off, right? So I called my friend back. And she's like, they're stealing. I said, nah, he's just one of those people who, if he doesn't have an answer, if it's too much pressure, because she's high D, she's Adam. Yo, she sent a text, I think like, yo, do I need to get my lawyer involved? He's just one of those people that shrinks back. Mm-hmm. He's not stealing from you. He just doesn't have an answer for you. And she's like, yo, David, he's lying. I'm like, nah, I don't think he's lying. He could be. Again, I'm not co-signing anybody, but I talked to him and I understand this behavior.
And that's interesting. You said she's a D.
100%.
That's a D will do that in the reverse situation. For a D, what am I updating you on? What are we talking about?
Yeah.
I'm not talking to you until I have an update for you. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to let you know. Like, if I'm putting out fires over here, that's not your problem. That's for me to work out.
Yeah.
You don't need to know none of that.
Yeah.
I will update you when I have a pertinent update.
Right.
Otherwise, the last update I gave you is still valid. Yeah. Right. But so for me, it's specifically that, and having a low I, it's like,
that's what yeah.
Right. So the super high D, I'm only going to update like when there's something substantive that happens, when it's something worthy of an update. But what I deem worthy of an update is not what somebody else deems worthy of an update.
Yeah. Other
people want play by play. And for a D, that's exhausting. Me having a low I, it's like, we're not about to have all this communication. So let's get all the communication out in one conversation and let's schedule the next one. Because I need to recharge after all of that.
Right.
But there's stuff happening in between. I will, unless it's an emergency, I will update you when the next time we talk. Yeah. And for some people, that's an issue. So I've had to learn to, in my mind,
about the text. Nah, keep the camera on.
In my mind, over communicate so that my communication seems fitting or normal to the other person. Mm-hmm. Because I realize my volume or my frequency of communication is not standard for the rest of the humans in the world.
Right.
And you have to understand who's sitting across from you or who you're dealing with, or you're going to create situations like that and miss the mark. And now, regardless of how good a job you do, there's whack juice, and that's never going to come off your record.
Yeah, for sure.
Never.
So I'm understanding somebody that, and I'm seeing his assessment. I don't know if he took it, but I'm seeing his assessment. I'm just imagining low I, high C. I'm not really good with like conflict.
Low D.
I don't know how to, I don't want to say something and then say it wrong. I'm being careful with my words. So until I figure it out, I can't say anything. Mm-hmm. But when I hear it, it's like, oh, he's running off with I'm like, no, he picked up the phone.
He just didn't pick up the phone for you.
Yeah, I'm having a conversation with him. I'm hearing the sincerity in his voice. He didn't take your money. He took the money and bought the product. So he didn't get paid yet, essentially. Right? Because I'm like, yo, that's how it worked out with me. And she's like, no, I know when people are stealing. I'm like, I know when people are getting over. I'm like, he's a human. He's a human with a unique design. But because of my shared experience, I've seen that. It's not he's a bad person. He just doesn't know how to communicate it. And sometimes for that person, imagine I'm not good with conflict. I want to make sure what I'm saying is accurate. I'm also dealing with a certain level of anxiety, and my body won't, like, it won't allow me to text you or pick up the call.
That brings up a really good point, right? I get the sentiment behind it's only business or this is business, but the more you understand, it doesn't make sense because you're doing business with people. Mm-hmm. So you're always in the people business. You'll never do business in a way that doesn't factor in the human component.
Yeah.
People are going to be people first. They do business second.
For sure.
Right. So you're like, but this is business. So he does this over there.
Yeah.
What made you think you was special? Like people are going to be people, and you have to embrace that because at the same time, somebody's looking at you the same way.
Yeah.
Oh, don't take it personal. It's only business. Yeah. Well, I'm a person. How did you expect me to take it?
For sure. 100%.
And I think we have to be mindful of that and give people grace and mercy sometimes. And I'll be the first to tell you, like, I'm cool until I'm not. And when I'm not cool no more, or when I'm very like black and white, I'm an extremist. Once I write you off, it's quiet. Like, it's Helen Keller quiet. It's it's over. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I sometimes have to remind myself, I have to have somebody around me that'll tell me, like, yo, you bugging. Like, that's right. Nice.
Right.
Back in, you know what I'm saying?
I've done that a couple times with Dewane.
Many times.
Down.
He's being modest.
Yeah, let's take a second to look at this assessment real quick, man. If you're on audio and you can't see it, just maybe write these numbers down. We have a 42D adapting up to a 49. I is a 67 adapting down to a 39. S is a 53 adapting down to a 39. C 67 adapting down to a 60. What do you see?
Well, one, I would ask this person what's going on because everything seems pretty like midline.
Yeah, there's no standouts, no
There's
drops.
nothing that really stands out. You know, the I and the I and the C, the I and the C stand out somewhat, but not enough for it to dramatically influence anything, right?
Gotcha. So
it looks like this person is sort of spread thin or trying to be all things to all people in a way. Like they're kind of like I would know that something is going on where this person feels pulled in a bunch of directions. So there's some sort of transition going on. You know, maybe like a new job. Maybe you got a promotion. Maybe you lost your job. Yep. Maybe you got out of a relationship, or you're in a new relationship. Just had a baby, or something's going on where you're not yourself. Yeah. Maybe you're depressed. Maybe something happened and you're kind of all over the place. That's what that would tell me.
So when somebody's assessment is close to that 50 line, when there's no like high 70 nothing, 80 nothing, and there's no low 20s, 30s, and everything's really compressed.
It's all balanced almost. It's all like in the same range.
Yeah. That means they're behaviorally, it's showing up from a lot of stuff going on in your life where there's a little bit of confusion. Yeah. Where I'm not comfortable right now.
Yeah. It's like a flat line, right? When you think about life in a flat line, like it's nothing, it's quiet right now. It's nothing, it's dormant. So I would like the person like this, I would tell them like, you need to take it again, maybe in like 3 to 6 months. Yeah. And by looking at the assessment, I would expect there to be dominance in the C quadrant or the I quadrant, just because the C quadrant is most consistent, and then there's the most variance in the I quadrant. So when they took it again, I would look to see those two quadrants, one of those two, or maybe both would be the dominant.
Gotcha. Yeah, and how do we get to that point where none of our attributes stand out? Like there's nothing that like my eye isn't shining through the assessment. How do we get to a point where all of this stuff is compressed?
Well, one, you could be trying to lie. You could be trying to like hack. Like, I don't really want to take this. I'm gonna just right. The software is gonna pick that up, and your results are gonna be skewed. Yeah. Or life could really be life, and like life could be happening. Something transitional has happened, and it, like just our primary response to things, right? There's fight, there's flight, there's freeze. You could be in a situation where you're so overstimulated and so overwhelmed that you're literally just holding on, by the seam of your pants, that would be a situation like that. You could have lost a loved one. You could have, just got a promotion and it might be a stretch role and you don't feel confident enough and you kind of all over the place. You could have just lost your job and felt like your life is all over the place, right? Yeah. Like there's so many different things, and that's where the conversations come into play. So I see that something's happening, but I need you to tell me what's going on. Gotcha. And you have to get the other person to feel comfortable enough to not only be transparent, but be vulnerable. And I think that there's a difference. For me, transparency is I'm letting you see me. Yeah. Like, hey, I'm smiling, I'll laugh. Vulnerability is allowing you to be in my space. Yeah, man, I'm going through something, yesterday, I forgot when we had the conversation, but I'm like, I got to figure this thing out, this balance wise. Yeah. My daughter wants more quality time with me. Yeah. And not everybody understands entrepreneurship in that way, or just the balancing act of everything is a task. And it's like, you never quite feel like you're doing good enough in all of the areas at the same time. But I don't want to be a person who's winning over here and then I'm struggling with my family with whom I do all of this for. Yeah. So I'm like, we having a conversation, and that's vulnerability. Like, man, I'm like, she's saying this, I'm doing this, but it's like, man, I got to figure this out. That's letting you in my space. That's the difference between vulnerability. And you want to get to the point where you can let a person be vulnerable with you. You got to create space and hold space so a person feels comfortable doing that with you. Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I think if I were to take the assessment now, given like all the stuff that's going on right now, like I got business stuff going on, personnel issues. I got like life stuff going on. My anxiety around. I have a daughter who's the love of my life, and then I have another son coming, and I'm excited, but I have no idea how I'll be able to love anyone like I love my daughter. I've never experienced.
We just had this conversation, right? That is a common thing with parents when you have multiple children. It's like, oh, this person has been my whole world. Now I have to split that. I feel conflicted, but I wonder how they're gonna feel. Yeah. And how do I balance all of this? And you've not done it before, so you're not confident in your ability to do it. Yeah. So you're gonna be questioning, and parenting is just a sensitive thing in general, right? You don't want to mess your kid up. Yeah. So, right? You don't want to mess your kid up. We all have thoughts and feelings about our parents. We don't want to be that. Our kids will feel whatever way they feel about us. But like I was telling you, like, man, like you will love your son and your daughter, but it will be two different loves. Yeah. They're two different people. You'll have two different relationships with them. Yeah. But that's hard for somebody who's not in a situation to understand.
I had a conversation with my wife the other night, and she was saying like it was I don't know it was me, my wife, and my daughter Corey. And I said something like, because she don't get excited when like we come in the house. Corey just kind of
be chilling,
just be in her world.
Corey be chilling.
I was like, yo, there's a ranking of love. I don't think we're like top tier on your love chart. Like I was like, I don't know. I'm like, you're like her grandma and grandpa. Oh my gosh, she lights up. I'm like, they're top tier. I think Sarai would be next, and then your mother, and then me. And she's like, I mean, I was like, dang, going up, joking.
I mean, you opened yourself up to the
But I was actually having a conversation with my wife, and off of that conversation, she's like, yo, there's nobody in the world you love more than Sarai. And I said, I know this is a trick, but you're right. I was like, yo, I can't like this. She's like, what about me? I love you. But Sarai, she's like, I don't.
First of all, I don't have to have a conversation about you and how you handle those situations.
100%. I just didn't know there's a special. I don't know. I don't know how to handle this.
But it's different.
It is different.
It is it's different. Listen.
She's like, Sarai over me? I'm like, no. Yeah, you don't know, bro. Like we got something special, bro.
That's how it is, particularly with fathers and their daughters, right? Like
You got a love ranking? You have a little ranking with your family? See, don't nobody want to be real. Y'all got this little ranking. Yeah. I wish we had the mic because they're not going to be able to. Yeah, but yes.
Yeah, you sneaky. I see. He's a sneaky guy.
It's working? Oh, we don't have. Okay. Is that camera working? Oh, she's like, never mind. We're going to set you up next episode, though. You don't even know. Go ahead.
But like, I remember holding my daughter for the first time. There's an, like,
Just have said that like that.
A softness that just, like she's a delicate, it's the most delicate thing in the world to me. I want to protect her. I want I want to cover her from the world.
Right.
I handle her a particular way. My son, it's like all right, man, like, come on, like one of the fellas,
that's
like it's my little man. Like you're looking directly at yourself as a kid growing up, and because you know what you lacked, what you didn't have, what you had, like you're looking at him like, man, you're the sequel. I want you to be better than me. But it's always like a cool vibe because he mimics everything you do. Like there's no wrong you could do in your kid's eyes for sure. But your son's like, yeah, my daddy, like, you know what I mean? Like it's just it's a little vibe there.
Yeah.
So you get more excited, like, yeah, that's my boy. All right. Your daughter's like, hey baby, what's up? Like you're softer there.
Yes.
And I don't make the rules. It just, that's how it pans out. When I carried my son for the first time, it was yo, I got you. Like I know what you're about to come into this world. I know what this world is like. I'm going to make sure that I equipped you with all of the skills, all of the character, the moral, whatever you need to be the man that I hope and envision, or whatever man you want to be. But I got you, my boy. Like it's one of those. It's a very different experience, but I love my children unconditionally. That doesn't change. But they're two different people. The way I engage them is different. And it's something that you learn. I remember bringing my son home for the first time. Me and my daughter used to do daddy-daughter dates every Sunday. She doesn't eat ice cream. She likes gelato. So I would take her for gelato. I remember getting ready to, like, you know, I was like holding him, walking around. She's like, yo, daddy, put him down. I'm like, what you mean? He gonna come with us? She's like, no. She's 4 at the time. She's like, no, it's me and you. Like, we're going to go. And I'm like, no, but your brother now. So, because, you know, some kids, it takes some time to adjust. She's like, he only needs you when he cries. I'm like, no, he needs me. She's like, no, daddy, when a baby is wet or they're hungry, they cry, and then you take them. He doesn't need you. You can put him down now. He's not crying.
This is your 4-year-old.
That was her way of saying, you're not about to shift up what we got. Like, I want my daddy daughter, we gonna go get this gelato, us two. And I realized, like, oh, okay, I got work to do because I don't know how to manage this. Nobody gave me this blueprint, but you figure it out along the way. You figure it out. You get anxious beforehand, but one thing about your children, you will never let anything come between you providing what they need. So you figure it out. And there's conversations like this where it's like, bro, what did you do? You know what I mean? It's a little system.
Give me a couple of weeks. He'll be here. We'll have another conversation.
I'm telling you. I'm trying to say, yeah. You know what I mean? You're going to have a boost to your confidence, your swag. You're going to be extra flexy about your boy. It doesn't mean you love one better than the other or more than the whatever. It's different. And I think you need to be mindful that my love is different. My love is unique to the person.
Yeah.
You don't compare loves.
Gotcha.
You love somebody or you don't love them. But our relationship is unique. Your relationship with your son is going to be different than your relationship with your daughter, different than your relationship with your wife, different than your relationship with your daughter, Corey. Like, it's all different. These are all different people you love, but you connect to them in different ways.
Dang, this is probably a conversation for another episode, but I think we need to like describe our relationship with love, the word love, because the way you define love, the way I define love, the way everybody defines love is also going to be different. So, man, it's a good conversation.
I think so.
Everybody know how to find you, man. We gonna have a link to an assessment.
We're gonna have a link somewhere around here. Like there's gonna be a link somewhere. But you can find me, Dewane Mutunga, on everything. Instagram, YouTube, Twitters, all that.
For sure. I am David Shands. I'm David Shands. Follow me on Instagram at sleepisfor with the number 4 suckers, SUCKERS. And like, subscribe, share this podcast with somebody, man. We out of here. Peace.
Hold on.